Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking my 2025 bookish goals. We're going to go over just some basic goals that I have for the year. I kept them a little looser this year because I was that girl in high school who, despite the fact that I read all the time and was always reading, the second you assigned me reading, I was like, I'm not touching that. And I've been learning more and more in my adult life that even if I'm like boxing myself in on what I need to be reading, there's a part of my brain that just immediately starts rejecting it. So a little looser. I didn't do like a have to do this every month because also last year I had a few months where, despite the fact that I read 88 books the whole year, I had a few months where I only read 2 books or I only read 3. So I'm sure at least once or twice that'll happen again this year. Without further ado, let's hop into the goals and then we can hop into my 25 and 2025. Honestly, the single greatest thing in my life and the single greatest part of the new year is when With Allie puts out her new reading spreadsheet and you get to fill everything out. So I have my handy dandy spreadsheet that you totally can't see because it's too bright. And let's just quickly talk about my goals for the new year. The new year, she says, on January 27th. Okay, so last year I read 88 books, which is the most books I've ever read in a year. Prior to that, it had been 73 in 2020. So I'm doing the same thing I do every year. I don't want to get overly ambitious, so I'm just going up to whatever the next interval of 5 is. So my goal this year is 90 books. I think we can do it. I don't want to say it out loud because what if I fail? But I do have a sock goal of 100. I think it would be really cool to hit 100 books for the first time. So that would be great. My second goal for the year is one I'm going to be really strict on this year, and that is shrinking my TBR by any amount. Really any amount, but I would love to shrink it by 60 books. I have been building a library for like over a decade, ever since I was in high school and I got my first job and I had my license and I could go to the bookstore whenever I pleased. And I've been collecting books for even longer because elementary school Olivia was obsessed with getting every single copy of Goosebumps to ever exist. So it's a very easy habit for me to just walk into a bookstore and walk out with 7 books and do that multiple times a month. We're trying to not do that this year. This is the first apartment I've lived in where I can't fit all of my books, and if you have been here, you know. And if you haven't, there is quite a few new of you. There's quite a few new of you. Quite a few new people here watching. I have over 100 books right now that I am trying to save from water damage. Here's the initial footage of the first way that I tried to save the books, which didn't happen. I couldn't have that many out at once, and that's not even all the ones I need to save. I had to throw away 74 because they were too far gone. They were either moldy or just like too wet, and I had to make the executive decision that like I don't even know if I have the time to save all of these before mold starts growing again. So it was a real eye-opening experience for me to deal with. I currently have about 10 saved. I've saved 10, and the new setup is just 2 standing up in front of a fan. So it'll be an ongoing project for the rest of the year, and I'm just like choosing what to save first. It's for someone with decision paralysis, it's a bit rough. But yeah, I need to limit my book buying until I move into my next apartment and I am able to display things everywhere and just not accidentally have a storage snafu where everything gets wet. So we're shopping our shelves this year. I'm also saving for a new car. So if I don't buy 100 books this year, I'll get a new car so much faster. Shrink my TBR by 60 books. That's the goal. We are starting this year at 269 books on my physical TBR. This is a goal that I have every year. I feel the bare minimum simply that I could do, and that's read 50% BIPOC authors. I have been doing this for the past few years, and for the past few years, I would just like not keep track of it every month and like check in quarterly and see how I was doing like naturally, what I was grabbing off of my shelves. And that had been working for me until I read 88 books in a year. And last year I ended at 49%. And it just, like, it makes me irrationally angry, that 1%. So I am going to try to do, like, monthly, actively be making the decision every month so I can come out above 50% this year. Number 4, we talked about it a bit a couple ago, is we're decreasing the book spending. We've gotta do it. I'm a simple gal, okay? And so when I have a bad day, what I want to do is go get a coffee and head to the bookstore. If you know, you know, okay? last year also, if you know, you know. One of the worst years of my life. So there was quite a bit of I'm going to get a coffee and I'm going to a bookstore. So we're not doing that this year. I want to really decrease my spending, and the only thing I'm changing, which I'll tell you this now, is because the current, you know, state of our nation is a bit rough and there's reasons to be worried about not having access to books. I will be buying one nonfiction book for every nonfiction book that I read, because it's really hard for me to just be like, yeah, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna read a nonfiction. It's like part of, the second I think about reading a nonfiction, there's like a wall in my brain that just goes up and it's like, you can't do it. You're not gonna be smart enough. You cannot do it. But Navy, we're not barking at strangers. They can walk on the street. No, you don't have to puff either. That's not nice. It's not polite. Just he's better. He's gonna walk, okay? Sorry about that. Dog interruption over. I'm gonna buy one nonfiction for every nonfiction that I read, and it's also going to, I think, motivate me to pick up more nonfiction, because I really want to buy. These titles are the ones that I really want to pick up next. If you have any suggestions, here are some that I already have on my TBR. Editing Olivia hates me, and I am currently reading Hood Feminism. Next, I want to reread some books this year. I want to go back as far as I can in my Goodreads, which is 2014, see what I was rating 5 stars, and every year I just want to slowly reread some of my favorites, see if they hold up, see if I would like them now or not, and I just want to reread 6 books this year. Anything that I was like, you could do this every month, I put it down to 6 to not box myself in, which next one is read 6 nonfiction. We just talked about my new goal, so of being able to buy more, so I think I will have no issue hitting that, just reading 6 nonfiction. I am not going to count any memoirs. It has to be like an informational nonfiction. And then my last goal before we jump into the 25 and 2025 is I just want to hop into like some of my favorite authors' backlogs this year. The last few years I've been really focused on like making sure I'm reading a lot of new to me authors, but then I'm finding new favorite authors and I'm picking up a lot of their books and I'm not reading those because I'm so focused on new authors. So I want to dive into some more Stephen Graham Jones this year. I want to dive into some more Akwaeke Emezi this year because I just love them. So I do want to focus on some authors that I have been loving but slacking on picking up more of their books. The fact that I have been congested since Christmas and it is January 27th annoys me. Makes me angry. Everybody say thank you, handy dandy decade-old computer, for helping us with the first part of this video. Next, we're gonna hop into my 25 and 2025. I'm not gonna go full synopsis details on these books because it's 25 books and I don't want this video to be that long. You don't want this video to be that long, and we're already at 10 minutes. So I'm just gonna talk about them really quick, maybe 1 or 2 sentences that I know, or just why I put it on my 25 and 2025. The why we'll start with our first little stack here, which are all the books that I put on my 24 and 2024 last year that I didn't read, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books. We'll start with the only one I've read so far this year, which is Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Huang. This is just a horror about the beauty industry, but also about so much more, and it has incredible themes in it. And the writing was just absolutely impeccable. I was highlighting so much. I chose such a light color. I don't know if you can see. The writing was just so incredible, and I can't wait for Immaculate Conceptions. It Came from the Closet is a just collection of essays by queer authors about horror movies they love and how they relate to queerness. I have like a video concept for this that I can't fully put together, so if you can help me. I want to read like each section, which is like An Excellent Day for an Exorcism, Monster Mash, Fatal Attractions, Whatever You Do, Don't Fall Asleep, and Final Cuts. And I want to read like one book per section that matches, so like an exorcism book, a book with a monster. Fatal Attractions is what's getting me, because everything I look up, it's not horror, I'm just getting like dark romance, and that's not what I want. And the only thing that I can maybe think of is My Husband, but I think I have to read that for BookTuber's favorites, but I might be able to get out of it. But then Final Cuts, I don't even fully know what the vibe is. There is a sleepaway camp, so it could be something like that, but then I haven't seen any of these movies, I think, aside from Sleepaway Camp, which is, oh no, I've seen Halloween, Eyes Without a Face, and Child's Play. So I don't know what the vibe of that one is. Is it slashers? Because I could read a slasher. And whatever you do, don't fall asleep. I don't know what I would read for that either. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. Or I might just have to completely scrap the vlog idea. But it would be fun. We gotta go faster now. Those were the two I think I had a lot to say about. Also on last year's list were The Hobbit. I just can't believe I haven't read this series yet. And I did recently purchase... I also recently purchased The Fellowship of the Ring as well. The Mustache just seems like a fun, weird, strange translated fiction about a man who shaves off his mustache and no one knows, and he notices, and he just descends into madness. Things have gotten worse since we last spoke by Eric LaRocca. I have to get to this. I won't let myself buy any more of his books because I haven't read this, but I loved things. What's the other one? Oh my god. The Trees Grew because I bled there. Wow, okay, we got there. I read that and I absolutely loved it, and I just haven't picked this up yet, and I also have Everything the Darkness Eats, and I want to get his new one, but I won't let myself until I at least read one of those. Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang, about a woman who steals an Asian woman's manuscript after she dies, and we're gonna deal with that. I pre-ordered this from Barnes & Noble, the special edition signed, never got it, so I finally got this off Pango like 2 years later, but I'm still like salty about it in my brain, mostly like I never got my money back, bitch, okay? Like, Barnes & Noble, what are we doing? So I had to wait until seeing this book didn't make me angry at Barnes & Noble to be able to read it. Dead 11 by Jimmy Giuliano is, I think, just about an island where they're stuck in a time loop in like the 80s or 1994, and I just think I'm gonna love that. And then Una Out of Order by Margarita Montemor is just, we're following this woman where every year she wakes up in a different year of her life. Unlinear, like, so non-linearly? Whatever. And I really want to dive into this. I think it'll be really fun. Now these are the ones that I just picked for this year that I was like, girl, if you're shopping your shelves and you're trying to read 90 books, could at least pick 25. These aren't in any order. I stacked them by paperback and hardcover, so let's just start with paperbacks. I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman is about 39 women who are in a bunker underground and you don't know why. I have the strangest vlog concept for this book that I've been thinking about since like 2023, so before I restarted this channel, and I never know, like, I was always like, that's just silly and I'm not gonna do it, but every time I want to read this book I'm like, but what if you do this vlog concept? So I think I just have to be goofy and do that this year, and I think I might do it in the next couple months because I cannot wait to read that any longer. I feel like I started talking really fast, I apologize. Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, I think is following one of the women of Dracula, and that's really all I know, except everyone really loves it. I have Big Swiss by Jen Began, which is about a woman who transcribes a sex therapist's like sessions and is obsessed with this one woman who she refers to as Big Swiss, and like literally curates a meet cute to meet this woman. The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I have been devouring Stephen Graham Jones's books and I really want to read this. I just want it to be like spring or summer when I do. I can't wait to get to it. Don't know a ton about it. I'm not gonna look anything up. The Trees by Percival Everett is about, there's I think, okay, it doesn't say what the first murder is, so I'm not gonna say what the first murder is. But there is like a bunch of white guys dying in this town, but also near the dead white guy, there's a dead body that suspiciously looks like Emmett Till, and the Emmett Till body keeps disappearing, and then the next time there's a dead white guy, the Emmett Till body is there again. I can't wait to read that. The Horror by David Sodergren. I think I read a couple pages of this in July and was really liking it, just never finished it. And it's about an old lady who is refusing to give up her ancestral home to a billionaire who wants to freaking build a golf course. And I think the horror like comes to this seaside Scotland coastal town and helps her. And I think there might be a romance. I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel is about parasocial relationships and a woman who cyber stalks the woman of the man, but the girlfriend of the man she's sleeping with, something like that, is like obsessed with this woman. Parable of the Talents by Octavia E. Butler. I just realized this had deckled edges. I kind of hate that. Is the sequel to Parable of the Sower. And, you know, if you live in America, you've probably also been thinking about Lauren Alamina a lot recently. I know I have. And then Hex by Thomas Old Whovelt. Who freaking knows? There's like one person at the Barnes & Noble I go to, like worker, who enjoys horror, and he recommended this to me and he told me it destroyed him. So I picked it up without really knowing anything about it, but I do believe it is about a witch who controls a town, but like you're not supposed to talk about the witch or she'll come to the town, and these kids talk about the witch. That could be completely wrong. I think his name is Logan. I got it because Logan told me to. I hope his name is Logan. Into the hardcovers, one I already showed you, You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. I think is supposed to look like a romance, but is in fact not a romance. Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. I have for the longest time owned 3 of her books, and I finally read my first one last year. This is the one that is always just like calling to me that I want to pick up, and I have been refusing because I was like, you have to read Allegedly first because that's the one you bought first. Like that's the way my mind worked. I don't know, but I finally read Allegedly last year, so I can pick this up. This is about a girl and she goes to school and her friend Monday does not arrive at school, and I think it's about how people don't really care when young black girls go missing, and her friend has to figure out what's up with Monday and where she went. This one I'm so excited for, and I cannot believe I did not get to at the end of last year. We Used to Live Here by Marcus Clear. The no sleep Reddit guy. This book is following 2 lesbians. They've just kind of moved into this house, and one day while one of them is at work and the one who's a little bit more of a pushover is at home, a family comes and the dad says, I used to live here and I just want to show my kids around. She doesn't really want to, but she lets him inside. One of the kids goes missing and weird shit starts happening. Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. I haven't even read this, but just the concept, even if I don't love it, I'm not sure there's any horror that Chuck Tingle could put out that I wouldn't read. But this is about Misha, and he writes for Hollywood, and the owners of this show, Jesus Christ, what do I know about Hollywood? The executives at the studio want him to kill off the gay characters for the algorithm. House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. I was obsessed with The Year of the Witching, and I somehow haven't picked this up yet. It's about vampires. That's all I got for you. Notes on an Execution by Danya Kakofka. Sorry, I'm going fast. My camera is going to overheat. This book we're following a serial killer who's being put to death, but instead of anything from his perspective, it's from 3 women who knew him, I think like a mom, a girlfriend, and his final victim. This freaking honker. Jade City by Fonda Lee. I have to read this. This is my best friend's copy, and I've had it since before I moved into this apartment. I need to read this book, or Natalie has full permission to punch me in the face. And the final book is The Mothers by Britt Bennett. I bought this like immediately after reading The Vanishing Half in like 2020, and I've never really picked it up because historical fiction really isn't my favorite thing. And every morning I look at my bookshelf and this book looks at me and says, fuck you, Olivia. So it's time. I have to read it because it's been on the TBR for way too long. Okay, so those are my 2025 bookish goals and my 2025 TBR-ish thing. We'll see if I read them. I'm not doing any punishment if I don't read them, okay? Unless I like significantly fail. If I like read less than 50 books this year, then maybe we'll do a punishment. But this was just look at yourself and what are you excited about? And this is what I pulled. So this is a good starting point for the year. The fact that I've only read one and it's almost February means I am in fact behind, but you know, you win some, you lose some. Of course the camera shut off right when we were talking at the end. We were so close to being done. But thank you so much for watching. I want you guys to tell me like what your big goal for 2025 is. Whether it's the number of books you want to read, or if you're shrinking your TBR, or if you want to branch out into a new genre. What's like the one goal on your list that you're like, that's the big one. That's the one I've got to focus on. Or just tell me all your goals. Give me some inspiration. Give me some motivation to really start hitting mine. But thank you all so much for watching. I will see you soon with another video. Bye!